Hello, welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. Slightly different setup going on today. Nothing major. It's just I had it all set up from some previous recording stuff I was doing, and I've kind of started taking it all apart, and I'm not quite there yet. So the camera and all that kind of stuff is still set up for me standing, presenting, and I'm standing now. However, I don't have a standing desk, so what I had to do for this presentation I was doing is kind of jack up my keyboard and mouse up so I could use them, because I was doing some demos and stuff, and I've taken all that away because it was just like boxes piled up on my desk to get it to the right height. And so I've taken all that away, and because I've gone back down sitting for work for the last couple of days, and but yeah, I've just come to record this, and so the camera's all up here, so I'm now standing up, but I'm going to have to crouch down to get the keyboard and mouse. Not great, but there we go. So I've just realised I've kind of half set up, half not set up. I've also streaming live today as well. So yeah, I think we should turn on the key light as well, so I haven't done that. So Alexa, turn on the key light. Okay, it's a bit better. Apologies if you've got one of those devices at home, even more so if you have a plug that's called key light, but maybe you don't, hope not. Anyway, let's talk about this week. It's been really busy for things that have been happening. I mean, not so much in kind of new things that are happening, just kind of feels like there's a lot going on, and finding out some things, and some things are going GA, and some new things are coming out. And of course, it's the end of the month as well, so there's a lot of announcements that kind of come out around this sort of time as well. And we're looking forward to build. So yeah, lots and lots of things going on. First thing I want to start with is a blog post from a completely new blog I was not aware of. I've been recommended this person by someone else I know, and I was just kind of looking through some of the things they've done, and they did a blog post earlier this month that I think is really, really cool. It's for a Teams application that's an in-meeting application. So we've talked a little bit about in-meeting apps already in Microsoft Teams. A new thing you can do to bring application, like a canvas for an application, into Teams meetings. And what this person has done is created like an agenda for people speaking in meetings. So everybody gets a time slot. You can load up who's going to speak in the meeting, like an agenda, and then have a timer in the meeting that forces people, like, yep, you've had your 5 minutes, stop talking, it's the next person now, and kind of moderates that like a chair of a meeting. So I thought that was really, really cool. I'm going to put a link to, as I crouch down to use my mouse, I'll put a link to that in the description. Let me just share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Not that screen. That's me and all my notes and OBS. That's no good. What you want to see? Okay, so let me do this. This is the trouble with setting up your PC for like a presentation and for some other stuff you're doing. And you kind of set all these things, and then you kind of forget what you set up. And I don't do a very disciplined job of kind of keeping all my setups the same, which I should really do. Right, here we go. This is what I want to show you. This site here, Tech Peanuts, tech-peanuts.com. And this particular blog post, Teams Speaker Queue. So I think this is really cool. So you can see a screenshot here of how it works. The meeting started, you can see these people have the kind of time to speak. That's the agenda, and they've got a countdown clock as well, and it will go through and tell you who's speaking. I thought this was really nice, and also it's a great idea for an in-meeting app, and kind of cool to see it done. And it's all on GitHub. It's got great documentation. It's got an FAQ page. Like, this person's really gone to town. This is a Microsoft person. I'm going to leave it like that. I think I won't kind of go out the name just because they haven't been kind of totally open and shouting about their name on this website. So if you're a Microsoft person, you can find it out through the alias that's on the About page. But other than that, I think let's just leave it like that. It's a great resource. This is cool. So go check that blog post out and try that application out. I think I'm going to give it a go and try it and see what it's like. It looks really good. It's a nice idea. It's kind of similar in a way. There's an application that I've been wanting to make for ages, but just haven't had a chance to, which is like a taxi meter application. So it's like a stopwatch for a meeting, but times by the number of participants that are in the meeting. And what I want to do is somehow figure out what a good representation of revenue is. Like, what's this meeting costing? Whether or not that is as simple as, what's an average salaried worker, like use that as a number. Maybe doing something fancy like taking their job title, trying to cross-reference it to an API to figure out their median salary and come up with something. But yeah, I think it'd be really interesting for some of those big company hall meetings as well, where got 100, 200 participants for an hour. Like, what's the cost of that to the company? So yeah, interesting. So yeah, go check that out. That was a good thing I found this week. Yeah. And so next up. So this is from the Microsoft Teams developer blog. And this is another blog post from the Microsoft Graph Mailbag, and it's all about using the Teams Activity Feed API. So I've spoken about this before. We've talked about the Activity Feed API. It's now GA. This is a blog post that just goes through how to use it. I like this actually. This is one of those, okay, so you've told me what it is, how do I actually use it? So this goes through some of the rules. For instance, like you need to have a Microsoft Teams app to be able to use this API. You can't just call it by itself. You have to have the right permissions, and then exactly how do you call it? How do you go around notifying people in a chat, in a team? What does that call look like? What's the output going to be like? So there's some nice screenshots as well of kind of what the output is as well. And some screenshots of how it looks in Teams as well. So yeah, this is cool. It's a good blog post by Sebastian Levert. He's the senior project manager on the Graph team, so knows what he's talking about. So yeah, great blog post. And so if you're thinking about using the Activity API, then there's definitely some gotchas in there that are worth understanding. And so I would say that's worth reading through that blog post just to understand and make sure you know what those are, and yeah, how to do it and what that sort of best practice looks like. Okay, next up, it's the end of the month, so there's another What's New in Microsoft Teams blog post from the Teams team for April. And these are, if you haven't seen this before, they're like a big laundry list of everything that's been released and is new in the month. And they're always quite big because lots and lots of stuff happens in the month that we kind of forget about as we go through the month. And so the blog post is quite a good way of just reminding yourself of like, oh yeah, that we did do quite a lot this month. I'm going to share it just so we can go through it. I'm not going to go through all of it because a lot of it actually doesn't really pertain to development as such. So I'm just going to skim through. You can go through this at your leisure. There's nothing out and out for developers in here, I don't think, apart from what did I see that I just wanted to bring your attention to? Down here. So, not this one. App customization and branding is worth talking about. So this is a thing that as a developer you can opt into, and you can say that your application can be customized. And so if you, as a developer, if you say this is okay, then an admin can customize things like the name, the description, the icons for how it appears in their app store. So yeah, so you can deliver like a more branded, it's almost like a white label experience for your applications. So if that's interesting, go look into that. I have blogged about it before and how you sort of do it. So yeah, go check that out. Do that. I don't think there's really anything else. There's a usage feed for Teams user usage, but that's in the Teams client. That's not really an API driven thing. There are some new APIs for time clock. So if you use the time and attendance stuff in Teams for shift workers and stuff, then you can use there's some APIs for that now as well that you can use to create some rules and stuff, and like integrate into your existing system basically. So if you've got an existing timing system, system going on, whatever, then you can integrate with the kind of shift stuff that's in Microsoft Teams basically. So haven't looked into that in a load of detail, as you can probably tell by my waffling, but if that is in your world, then you'll find that interesting and useful, I'm sure. And I think that's kind of it for things that are new for developers in Teams. Not an awful lot. It has been sort of relatively quiet, I think, for new things, I would say, which is kind of okay. I'm not really complaining. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything really like critical that needs doing right now. So, and like I say, we've got Build coming up as well, the developer conference. So maybe we'll see some stuff there. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, finally, before I go, this is nothing to do with Teams particularly, although I guess it will end up affecting Teams. And if you may already be well aware of this because it's kind of been the news for a few days. Microsoft are looking for a new font, and why do you care? I mean, you don't really, and I don't really, except that it's obviously going to affect us massively because we use these Microsoft products every day. We all write documents. We all, I imagine it's also going to be the font that rolls out through Windows and through everything that kind of our interactions with all the Microsoft software. I imagine it will find its way into Teams, and so it kind of is interesting and important as well. What was interesting for me is that to read that Calibri, I don't really know how you pronounce it, but that has been the font of choice since 2007. Now, I can remember that coming in, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I guess it was 14 years ago or something like that. So, yeah, wow. But anyway, so they've shortlisted 5 new fonts. I don't know what the plan is now, whether or not all 5 are going to make it in, or whether they're going to put it all to a vote or something. Don't know. I mean, you can go and get all 5 today, and I guess all 5 are going to make it in. They are going to have to pick one as the default. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think they've said anywhere what. I don't think they've said anywhere what they're going to do and what they're going to use as the default, so we'll have to wait and see. However, they want your feedback as well. There's a link as well to kind of tell them what you think and which one your favourite is, and you can download them all as well and start playing with them. Yeah, interesting. Interesting in a sort of very abstract way, I suppose. All right, I think that's everything from me. That's quite a lot of waffling. It kind of happens. The waffling increases the busier the week has been because the less amount of prep time I have for these updates. I really want to keep the cadence of the updates going. They're really useful for me, if I'm going to be brutally honest. It is good for me to make sure I take some time out of the week to review what's been happening in the week and commit it and think about it. So I find these really useful. And I mean, I hope you do too. But actually, I want to continue doing them as a cadence. Even though sometimes it's really hard, like today, it's kind of hard to get this done because there's lots of other things going on, and I didn't have real prep time to make sure I caught everything happening in the week, and maybe I've missed some stuff. I don't think so, but maybe I have, in which case I'm sorry. But yeah, it's good for me to keep that cadence up, and I know that if I slip, let them slip a bit, and don't do one week and don't do one another week, I'll just stop completely, and I might as well not bother because that's just the way I go. So do want to keep them up, do want to keep going with them. So fingers crossed. I guess sorry if you end up taking the rough with the smooth and the slightly more waffly ones sometimes and the slightly crisper ones the other time. So that's just the way it is, really. All right, that's all for me and my cup of tea. Whatever it is you're doing this weekend, have a great one. Hope the weather improves. I hope the general state of the world improves in the next week. I don't think it will, but never mind. But anyway, locally to whatever it is you're doing, I hope things are slowly getting better and kind of a bit freer with restrictions and all the rest of it. Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks very much for watching, and